My message to the losers, losers look in the mirror. No? Well, maybe you should, sorry. Well, that's my feeling. Losers look in the mirror. For months, Democrats have been saying, how is this even close? And they're right, it wasn't. They could not conceive of a second Trump term, but they should have. When does America ever turn down second? I mean, come on.
They told us to look in the mirror. But what if that mirror is cracked? What if the reflection America is being shown isn't the truth? For months, people...
They won, now they have reality they have to deal with. You know, we'll see what they do. See if they live up to their word. Trump says he's going to deport 12 million people. How are you going to get 12 million people back into Mexico? And today, Trump said, I'm way ahead of you. Why do you think I left so many holes in the wall?
Scoffed at the idea. This could never happen again. They laughed. But it did. And the moment it did, the silence was louder than any applause. It started on a day that was supposed to be ordinary. Just another smug panel.
It just made me think, I'm sure every single member of the Saturday Night Live cast was a Harris supporter. But what if one of them wasn't? What if one of those cast members was for Trump? Would they have felt comfortable saying so? I really don't think so. They would have had to keep it to themselves. That's not a good place for us to be. And I remember when Elon Musk hosted, and this is well before he was a Trumper. This is 3 or 4 years. He was just the richest man in the world. And a number of the cast members on Saturday Night Live, like, they didn't want to deal with him. And I was thinking, really? You have Elon Musk on your show for a week. You could talk even about this issue that bothers you so much, that he's so rich and lots of people aren't. But no, you don't want to even deal with him. That's what I hate about it.
Out recycled takes like dollar store confetti. But then boom, a guest walked in who wasn't here to play along. Not to nod, not to smile, but to rip the mask clean off. And in that moment, everything changed. The second he opened his mouth, the air shifted.
Harris would be the first woman president, first black woman president, and first Asian president. But I don't vote for who will be the first. I vote for who will win. And for whatever reason, Harris has never been popular. You can count the number of delegates she won in the 2020 primaries on one hand, as long as that hand has no fingers. Sometimes life isn't fair. It's not fair that she's not popular. She's intelligent and accomplished, and in fact was put in charge of the border. And look at how... Okay, bad example.
You could almost feel the tension pressing against the walls. He didn't tiptoe. He went straight for the jugular, exposing the view for what it really was. Not diversity, not dialogue, but a one-track echo chamber, dressed up as open conversation. And the way he said it, brutal, unapologetic.
Goldberg, who, by the way, I hope is still a friend, we can disagree with each other, should not be canceled or put off her show, as much as I totally disagree with her crazy statement. Free speech. She should be there. She shouldn't get a timeout.
Not every single thing has to be for everybody.
Right.
We can have platforms that have stuff on them that not everyone on that platform or who consumes stuff on that platform enjoys. And The View is a particularly weird place to do it.
Walters invented it a long time ago, but it's The View.
Well,
that's the problem in America.
But
there is one view,
right, and
one
that's clearly
true opinion, and everybody else can go sit in the corner.
True, he called out the hypocrisy, the fake tolerance, the forced smiles. He dared to ask, what if one of you actually supported Trump? Would you even be safe saying it? The answer hung heavy in the room. Everyone knew it. Zero chance. Speak up and you're done. Buried alive by your own peers.
Going to sometimes have a very different opinion. And the answer is not to make them sit in a corner for 2 weeks. That is insulting. It's so insulting to make a 65-year-old, I mean, the person at ABC News said, I've asked her to take time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments. Reflect. How insulting for someone of her age, who's a sophisticated person.
The whole point of free speech is we don't need free speech when we're right, when everyone agrees with us. We need free speech when we're wrong. We need free speech to make mistakes. We need free speech to say really unpopular things. And one of the reasons I'm always proud to come on this show, and I suspect you feel the same way, Catherine, is this is the only space left on television where people can speak freely and not be terrified, right?
And suddenly, the so-called safe space didn't feel safe at all. Then came the grenade, a jab at Kamala Harris. Her historic firsts weren't the problem, her unpopularity was. He cut straight through the media's polished narrative with one chilling reminder: sometimes life isn't fair. The audience gasped, the hosts froze. for a show built on controlling.
The whole point is they didn't vote for him because of racism and misogyny. They voted for him because they felt like, I think the biggest common denominator in this election is people want a good life and ability to provide for their family.
Well,
and whether we agree or not with Donald Trump's plans,
Black people
they thought that he was reflective.
One of the poorest demographics in this country, but they voted for Kamala Harris.
But there was a split, and more of them voted for Donald Trump than had historically. I think that there's such a desire. If you really think the vast majority of this country voted because of racism and misogyny, you're missing it. Most of my family, a lot of my family doesn't have college degrees.
But the stats are the stats.
But that's not, it doesn't say I'm white, I voted for Donald Trump because of racism. That's not what that. What stat are you talking about?
Let me just dissect the two.
Yes, you can. There's a lot
Hold on.
The story. He had just stolen it live on air, but that was only the beginning. He pivoted to whoopee, to cancel culture, to the absurdity of silencing someone for a bad comment instead of debating it. He didn't defend the words, he defended the right to speak. That's when it hit. He wasn't just exposing The View. He was exposing the entire machine, the media, the celebrities, the fakeness, the fear. Every line was a dagger, every pause a bomb. By the time he mocked the network for telling a woman in her 60s to reflect and learn, the audience wasn't laughing, they were stunned. He wasn't attacking a single person. He was tearing down the illusion of freedom itself, and for once they had no comeback. He shifted again to Saturday Night Live, to Elon Musk, to the hypocrisy of calling a show edgy while punishing anyone who dares to think differently. He didn't ask what would happen if a cast member admitted they supported Trump. He told you they'd be destroyed, cancelled, forgotten, not because of hate speech, not because of crime, but because of a vote. The silence after that screamed louder than any argument. And then, the knockout. Free speech isn't needed when everyone agrees. It's needed when you're wrong. The line hit like a thunderclap. Even fans watching at home felt it. Suddenly, The View wasn't a talk show anymore. It was Exhibit A in the case against America's media. By the end, he wasn't just calling out bias. He was unraveling an entire system built on one rule: agree with us or get erased. He looked into the camera, smirked, and twisted the knife one last time. It's called The View, not the facts. The studio fell silent. Millions watching at home sat frozen, because deep down, they knew he was right. So here's the real question. If even shows built on diversity of thought can't handle a single opposing view, what does that mean for the rest of us?